Okay, so within the project, Afflictions by the Pitchforks. In regards to the editing stage, I just applied fades at the intro, at the outro of the actual tracks. Throughout kind of various points within the overall project, I had to apply some strip silence to kind of get rid of any of that adjacent sound I didn't want. Obviously, it's a live acoustic track, so the appearance of kind of bleed within a mix is going to be, it's going to be quite apparent in certain places, and it's going to be like an element, I guess, within it anyway, because that's going to add to the live element. But I certainly applied a lot of kind of strip silence to kind of separate the vocal kind of as vocal tracks, or the vocal waveforms, I guess, within each track, so that I could apply some vocal correction later on. Like I'll later explain, there's quite a few of issues in pitch, I guess, throughout the recordings. But I kind of did that, I guess, to really be able to kind of like minimize the amount of bleeds in the background, and so that I could kind of pinpoint certain frequencies and then kind of change the pitch, as when appropriate. So if you look over to the mixer now, so looking at the chain, yeah, it's not a massive project, but obviously initially within the chain you've got your first and you got your second vocals. So I initially trimmed them down to minus 16 dB, so they allowed me a little bit more headroom. I I utilized the Waves Tunes plugin to analyze all the frequencies, all the waveform throughout the entire project, and then made amendments to the pitch as and when required, as and when you kind of needed to, really, to tighten it up. I did a little bit of reductive EQ utilizing the the Waves Renaissance plugins, which is really good. I then applied some compression then on the initial track. I used the V comp. I don't normally use this one, but I thought I kind of use it and experiment with it for the purpose of this project, and it sounds very good. So I thought, well, I'll keep it in. And then I applied some additional EQ, or some additive EQ using the SSL channel, which has definitely become, I guess, a favorite plugin within any of my productions. The same thing then in regards to the vocals, second vocals. I trimmed it. I did some pitch correction. I did some reductive EQ. I used the DBS 160, which is again another kind of favorite plugin really to use in regards to like vocal and drum production. So I used that to compress the second vocal, and I used the SSL channel again to provide some additive EQ. So like you can see, I've kind of really pushed the high frequencies, kind of tailed off the high mid frequencies. Same again with the low mids. To kind of like thin out that kind of like the mid sections, and then kind of give it a push at the top and a push at the bottom, really, to kind of get that hi-fi sound, I guess. So with the blue tracks here, kind of list as shown in Pro Tools in the mixer window. This is representative of the acoustic guitar track that we recorded within the session. As you can see down here, for the center point of the guitar, so kind of where the player strums the guitar, like the sound hole of the guitar, we use the AKG C414, and then for the left and right, so to capture the body and the captures of the neck action of the guitar, we use the AKG 451, which proved they captured the guitar very well. So with the guitar, I just applied some additive EQ here with the SSL. I did some reductive EQ on the 451s, and then I applied some additive EQ then on the on the right track, which would have been, I guess, in relation to how we set it up, it would have been on the neck, so kind of to kind of give a little bit more clarity. So you can see here I've kind of rolled off on the bottom end, just to kind of really get that clarity, I guess, with the guitar playing. Moving across the electric guitar parts here, we've got the DI track, and then we've got the kind of, as previously mentioned in the introductory video to this project, I kind of previously mentioned that we mic'd up a 4x12 cab, and then we kind of did it within a stereo pair, so to say, but we recorded them as two separate inputs, and then I kind of just kind of picked and choose. Then I kind of blended which ones kind of sounded best, really. Same approach then with this. I applied some reductive EQ using the Renaissance EQ, and then I apply some additional, some additive EQ using the SSLE channel from Waves. Kind of relating back then to the CLA Mix Hub, which I'm pretty much using on all of my projects so far now. I've used the CLA Mix Hub for the room, for the overheads, for the room left and the room right, which we had in stereo. So if you're going to look at that, look at channel view and go to my bucket view, I essentially used it then so that I could actually kind of match EQ, I guess, both of them so that they were at the same settings. So you kind of see I've kind of pushed the high frequencies, taking off the high mids, slightly taking off the low mid, and then I've kind of pushed the kind of bottom end really, add a little bit of resonance to the track. Once I kind of completed my my first kind of mix, my first multi-track mix, I bust them out then into stereo tracks. You can see I've got my vocal bus, my first vocal bus, my second vocal bus, acoustic guitar bus, electric guitar bus, and my room bus. So within that, I applied I've kind of really gone to town, I guess, with the DBX 160, but I guess it's just such a fantastic compressor, and it just really kind of tightens the track up, gives that additional punch. I thought, use it for the purpose of this acoustic project. So I used the DBX 160, as you can see, all the way across each stereo bus, and I used the CLA Mix Hub then, the bucket function within the CLA Mix Hub, to have all of the EQ parameters in front of me, so that while the actual track was playing and I was monitoring them back, I could actively EQ them in real time. I guess that's the great function about having this particular piece of software, being able to do that. And then specifically on my vocal buses, I had the vocal rider then to ensure that the vocal tracks were that kind of one step ahead, one step above the underlying instrumental track. So, you didn't want the vocal track to be too loud. I didn't want it to be too quiet. I kind of wanted it just to sit just above their instrumental, and the vocal rider definitely does a fantastic job in achieving that. In regards to the time-based effects, I use the 2016 stereo reverb as kind of that tends to be my go-to choice in regards to any reverb that I do within any of my projects. I use the Renaissance reverb as well, and I used a phaser, which I don't normally use, but I thought, I thought it's quite a cool function, I guess, within my mix. So you can kind of see where I've applied them. I've applied the phaser. I kind of put it down as chorus here, but it's a phaser. I added that within the second vocal track, just to kind of add that kind of vibrato element to it. A little bit more vibrato. And then I've obviously used various reverbs kind of across most of the buses. In regards to the actual guitar track, I didn't apply any time-based effects because the DI, it was kind of sending out. It was coming out of a pedal board anyway, so it already had applied time-based effects on there. And I thought, I didn't really want to add any more to it because it sounded fine as it was. So once all the stereo stems were fine and recorded, I bust all those out into a stereo bus, as I always do, and then I experimented with a bus compressor. I tried it. I bypassed it and I unbypassed it, just to see if there were any kind of noticeable differences. And I always find that kind of applying a very subtle amount of compression and going through like a bus compressor on your master bus, it just really tightens the overall mix together. It just sounds fantastic. So so essentially when I had all the track, when I was satisfied with my final mix, I just bust them through into audio tracks, as I do with all the other projects, and then I created varied bounces, depicting on what I needed to do for the purpose of the assignment. Okay, so that's essentially my rundown for the acoustic live project that I did with the Pitchforks at the later stages of last year, just before Christmas. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of kind of working with them, and it's I'm thrilled with the overall result of the recording. And well, thank you very much for listening. I hope you all enjoy the presentation, and I hope you all enjoy the presented presented bounties that I'll be showing to you next week within my physical presentation. Thank you very much.